Imagine being told you're boarding the safest ship ever built. A ship so advanced, so powerful, so magnificently engineered that it literally cannot sink. You'd feel safe, right? You'd feel invincible. Now imagine it sinks in under 3 hours. This is the story of the RMS Titanic, a story of human pride, catastrophic mistakes, and one of the deadliest maritime disasters in history. Stay with me, because this story has twists that will genuinely shock you. The year is 1912, April 10th to be precise. The world's eyes are fixed on Southampton, England, because the most magnificent ship ever built is about to set sail on its very first voyage, the RMS Titanic. At 269 meters long and over 53 meters high, this thing was colossal. For context, that's nearly 3 football fields in length. It cost $7.5 million to build back then. Today, that's roughly $400 million. And the luxury inside? Unreal. We're talking stained glass mirrors, ornate wood paneling, 2 grand staircases, a heated swimming pool, a Turkish bath, an electric bath, a gym, a squash court, 4 restaurants, 2 barbershops, and yes, even a library. This wasn't just a ship, this was a floating 5-star hotel. All kinds of people were aboard, wealthy industrialists, famous actors, socialites, and also hundreds of immigrants, ordinary people, chasing a dream of a better life in America. At the helm was 62-year-old Captain Edward John Smith, one of the most experienced sea captains alive. The entire world was buzzing with excitement. And why wouldn't they be? The company that built this ship, White Star Line, had publicly declared that the Titanic was unsinkable. Their vice president literally came out and said it to the press. Unsinkable. Those were his words. Not very safe, not highly unlikely to sink. Unsinkable. And you know what? People believed it. 2 days into the voyage, on April 12th, the first ice warnings start coming in. This wasn't unusual. Ships regularly radio each other to flag dangers ahead. The North Atlantic was packed with icebergs that season. Titanic changed its course twice to avoid ice zones. Smart, right? Except they never reduced their speed. The ship kept charging forward at 21.5 knots, about 40 kilometers per hour, full steam ahead. Then comes April 14th. 7 more ice warnings flood in throughout the day. 7. Captain Smith and his crew receive them all, and they do absolutely nothing. The speed doesn't drop, the course doesn't change. Now here's a detail that haunts me. That night, April 14th, was unusually dark. No moon, 0 moonlight. Visibility was terrible. The ocean was completely calm, which sounds peaceful, but it was actually dangerous because calm water meant no waves breaking against the base of icebergs. That's the very thing that makes icebergs visible at night. No waves, no white foam, no warning. Up in the crow's nest, a lookout platform near the top of the ship, sat a man named Frederick Fleet. It's 11:39 p.m., bitter cold, winds tearing at his face, making his eyes water. And suddenly, out of the darkness, a massive wall of ice. He rang the bell 3 times, grabbed the phone, screamed to the bridge, "Iceberg, right ahead!" First Officer William Murdoch immediately ordered a hard turn to the left and rang down to the engine room to reverse the engines. But it was too late. At exactly 11:40 p.m., the Titanic struck the iceberg. Now, most people imagine this dramatic crash, metal crumpling, chaos erupting immediately. But that's not how it happened. The iceberg grazed the right side of the ship. Just a scrape, really. 10 seconds of contact. Passengers barely felt it. Some people on the upper decks saw chunks of ice fall onto the deck and thought it was amusing. A few even picked up pieces to put in their drinks. But below the waterline, it was catastrophic. Here's the thing about icebergs. What you see above water is only about 10% of the total mass. The rest is hidden below. This iceberg was 200 by 400 feet, weighed an estimated 1.5 million tons. When it scraped the hull, it punched holes and buckled the metal plates along a stretch of the ship's side. And here's where the unsinkable myth begins to crumble. The Titanic had 2 celebrated safety features. First, a double-bottomed hull, 2 layers of steel at the bottom, so even if the outer layer was breached, the inner one could save you. Second, the hull was divided into 16 watertight compartments. The ship could theoretically stay afloat with up to 4 compartments flooded. The problem? The double hull only protected the bottom of the ship. The sides, where the iceberg hit, had only a single layer of metal. And the impact was so severe that 6 compartments were breached. Not 4, 6. Ship's architect Thomas Andrews calculated it in minutes. Captain Smith stood there, pale, silent. The man who had sailed the seas for decades. The man commanding the unsinkable ship. He knew. They both knew. The Titanic was going to sink. At midnight, 20 minutes after impact, Captain Smith ordered the distress signal to be sent. Radio operator Jock Phillips immediately started firing off SOS calls into the darkness, one after another, hoping, praying that someone out there was listening. 20 minutes later, a response. A ship called the RMS Carpathia picked up the signal. Its captain immediately turned the ship around and pushed its engines to maximum speed. But the Carpathia was 107 kilometers away. At full speed, it would take 3.5 hours to arrive. The Titanic did not have 3.5 hours. Meanwhile, flares and rockets were being fired into the night sky, brilliant streaks of light screaming for help. And now comes one of the most infuriating parts of this entire story. There was another ship, just 37 kilometers away, close enough that passengers on Titanic's deck could literally see it on the horizon. One officer even pointed it out to panicking passengers and told them not to worry. That ship would come for them. That ship was the SS Californian. 1 hour before the collision, the Californian had been the one to send the last ice warning to Titanic. They had stopped for the night because of the dangerous ice field. And at 11:15 p.m., just 25 minutes before Titanic hit the iceberg, the Californian's radio operator switched off his radio and went to bed. So the distress calls? Never received. But here's the gut punch. After midnight, crew members on the Californian's deck saw the rockets. They saw the flares lighting up the sky. They reported it to their captain, Stanley Lord. And Captain Lord decided they were just party fireworks. Rich people on a luxury ship, celebrating. Nothing to worry about. He went back to sleep. When the Californian finally switched their radio back on the next morning, they received the distress calls. They rushed to the scene, but all they found were bodies floating in the freezing water. If Captain Lord had acted on those rockets, hundreds of lives could have been saved. Both official inquiries held him responsible.
Back on the Titanic, by 1 a.m., so much water had flooded the front compartments that the bow was completely underwater. The back of the ship, the stern, began to rise out of the ocean. The massive propellers lifted into the air. And now passengers truly understood. There was no more denial. Pure, raw panic took over. Here's where another catastrophic failure became apparent: the lifeboats. The Titanic carried only 20 lifeboats with a combined capacity of roughly 1,200 people. But there were 2,200 passengers and crew on board. Why so few lifeboats? Because the company believed the ship was unsinkable. Lifeboats were seen as unnecessary clutter. What a decision that turned out to be. And it gets worse. Because passengers had been told the ship was unsinkable for so long, many of them refused to get in the lifeboats at first. The first lifeboat launched had a capacity of 65 people. Only 28 boarded, half empty, lowered into the sea. As the hours passed and the ship tilted further, reality set in. Chaos erupted. People fought over spots. Some wept, some prayed, some simply accepted it. At 2:05 a.m., the last lifeboat was lowered. Around 1,500 people were still on board. At 2:20 a.m., just 2 hours and 40 minutes after impact, eyewitnesses watched the Titanic crack in half. The two pieces tilted, groaned, and slid beneath the surface. Gone. The unsinkable ship. Gone. The people who jumped or fell into the water faced water at -2 degrees Celsius. Hypothermia would kill a person in minutes. Survivors described hearing a sound they never forgot: the screaming of over 1,000 people in the freezing water, gradually fading into silence. Captain Edward Smith, true to his code, reportedly stayed at the wheel until the very end and went down with his ship. The Carpathia arrived at 3:30 a.m., 1 hour too late. It rescued 710 survivors. 1,517 people had died.
Now comes the question everyone asks: who was responsible? The investigations pointed at many people. Captain Lord of the Californian for ignoring the distress rockets, almost certainly guilty of criminal negligence. But what about the steersman, Robert Hitchens? When the iceberg alarm sounded, the officer ordered a hard left turn. Hitchens panicked and turned right, directly toward the iceberg. By the time the mistake was caught, it was too late. One wrong move, one moment of panic. And then there's Joseph Bruce Ismay, the chairman of White Star Line. There's evidence he pressured Captain Smith to maintain full speed despite the ice warnings. He wanted to make headlines, to prove Titanic was not just the biggest, most luxurious ship, but the fastest. On the very afternoon of the 14th, when Captain Smith showed Ismay the ice warning and suggested slowing down, Ismay reportedly pocketed the paper so no one else would see it. And as for the safety drills, a mandatory drill had been scheduled for April 14th, the same day of the sinking. Captain Smith canceled it because, well, the ship was unsinkable. The Titanic disaster changed the world of maritime safety forever. In 1914, the International Ice Patrol was established. Ships are now continuously tracked and warned about icebergs. The SOLAS Treaty, the International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea, was signed, mandating strict new rules. Every ship must now carry enough lifeboats for every single person aboard. Wireless radios must be manned 24 hours a day. And the Titanic itself? It took 73 years to find it. In September 1985, American explorer Robert Ballard located the wreck, 3,800 meters beneath the surface of the North Atlantic, split into two pieces, lying 600 meters apart. Today, bacteria are slowly consuming the metal hull. Scientists estimate that by 2030, the wreck will have completely disintegrated. Over 110 years later, the Titanic still captivates us. Maybe because it's more than just a ship disaster. It's a story about human arrogance, about ignoring warnings because you're too confident in what you've built, about the gap between how safe we think we are and how safe we actually are. The Titanic didn't sink because of an iceberg. It sank because people believed it couldn't. That's the real lesson. If you found this story fascinating, share it and let me know in the comments which part shocked you the most. Was it the Californian, the half-empty lifeboats, or the steersman turning the wrong way? I'll see you in the next one.